Alright, to start, you're going to get your CO2 blank off of the Google Drive, and you have to make sure that you download it and save it to your My Documents, then open up Autodesk Inventor first, and then hit the open up here at the top and find where you found your document. To start, we're going to start with our front view. And you guys are going to be using your sketch sheets that you have and using it to make your drawings, and you're going to make sure that you turn that sheet in. If I look, here is the sketch that I'm going to be using. And so for mine, I'm going to be using the spline command. Before I do that, I want to know where my CO2 blank hole is. So I'm going to use a project geometry. I'm going to come here and I'm going to click on the lines for my hole. And then I'm simply going to use the spline command. And we start on the back. And you can kind of see here on my sketch, I mapped out the points that I'm going to be clicking on with my spline command. So and green check, and that's pretty good. And you can see it. I left a little space here for my CO2 blank. The next thing, I had that arc right down here on my sketch. And I'm going to use the arc command to make those two lines right there. So I'm just going to use arc. I'm going to leave a little space for my CO2 blank. I do start, end, and I control the radius of the arc. Once again, I do start, end, and I control the radius. Now when you do this, you have to make sure that you completely enclose these regions of your areas that you mapped out. So we're going to go to line, and I got to make sure I trace around here. This is a very important step. If you don't do this, it won't cut out correctly. And we're just going to use line and go endpoint to endpoint and endpoint to endpoint. There you go. Same thing down here for my arcs. Line, endpoint to endpoint, endpoint to endpoint. Let's do that again. Alright, let's hit finish sketch. Now we're going to go and do our sketch on the bottom. So make sure you're doing it on the bottom and not the top. And the first thing we're going to do is project our geometry of our CO2 hole and our axles. Because we need to know where these are. So I projected those. Now we're going to put a line down the center. And why is that, you ask? Well, if you look, we have a reflective copy of these two arcs down here. We're going to mirror that, and we need a line down the center to show where our reflective line is. So let's do our arc. You can see I have a little straight part on the front, so I'm just going to do arc like this. And then I'm going to put an arc start, end right here, control my radius. Alright, now we're going to use a mirror command. Before we do that, Mr. Tosh, you got to make sure that you enclose off this area with some straight lines. Alright, we got to close off these regions. Because in a minute, when we mirror these, we're going to select our geometry first. We hit the mirror command. And I think I got them all. We hit mirror line, apply, and there we have it. A copy of what we did that's mirrored. So let's see how we did. Finish sketch. Let's hit our house. Let's try extrude. Alright, we select the regions we don't want. Here. Here. We're going to hit cut. We're going to change our distance to all. And there is our side. Now I'm going to come down here to the bottom. Extrude. And you can see that I'm not really getting this region, right? So let's go back. Double click on this bottom sketch. And let's make sure that we trace this right here to here. And you can see I probably didn't mirror it correctly. So sometimes you have to go back and just re-enclose that area. So we hit finish sketch on that. Now let's hit extrude. And sometimes it is a pain, but we got them. We'll change it to cut all. Okay. And, ooh, that's nice. So what I want to add to this is I want to add some fillets, right? We have these sharp edges, and I want to make this a little more aerodynamic. So I'm going to come up here to the fillet command. And the default setting is 1/8. And if you see, if I select these edges and do 1/8, it's not very round. So I'm going to go up, and I'm going to change it to 0.25. I could do a little bit better than that. So let's go up to a half. And I always do my fillets in multiples of 16ths. And I like that. It has a nice rounded edge completely around here. So I'm going to hit apply. Let's add some more fillets. I want to fillet up here in my front. And if I change these two, you can see it does nothing because this is too small of an area to fillet a half. So let's try and do 0.25. Does that work? It does. Apply. Alright, let's do the bottom. Once again, it's not doing anything because it's too tight of a radius. So let's do half of a quarter. Let's do 0.125 for an eighth. There we go. And I'm going to just add some small fillets on the back. Let's get a better view. Let's do a fillet here. I'm going to do 0.25. I think that will work. Just to get a little bit more aerodynamic and apply. And I think that's done. Let's put a couple more right up here. Oh, that looks nice. So that would be my car. Remember, you're doing 2 cars. You're doing 1 for each sketch that you created. And you want to make sure you come up here, do a save as, maybe call it car 1 and car 2, and save it in your My Documents folder. I have a PFE folder, Unit 1 folder. I would save it in there as maybe car 1. And then I could go back and restart my next one.